Third and final topic today is one that you tipped me off ahead of time to, which is rare for a Riley Friday. What is it?
Yes, I want to do an early look at UNC versus Duke. And okay, do you think of me as like am I like a reasonably rational UNC fan?
Relative to UNC fans that I've encountered, yes.
Do you think I'm able to like take off the blinders and unbiased, like evaluate my team without bias?
No, I don't.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being like I always have the Carolina blue tinted glasses on, where do I rank in my bias?
Low, very low.
Okay,
But I
okay.
think I think even when you are trying to be objective, you take the optimistic approach because you are an optimist at heart.
It's true. I
It's one of
am.
the
I
things
am
I love
confident.
about you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That will reflect in this exercise where I've been trying to like see how UNC stacks up positionally with Duke, and I feel better about it than I thought I would. Like for the record, I have Duke ranked fifth in my preseason rankings right now, so I don't need any Duke lovers coming out of the woodwork saying that I'm biased or accusing me of even more bias than I already know that I have. But I at least wanted to throw this you're not really objective. You aligned yourself with the Brotherhood. So, but I thought but let's go through the lineups here and tell me like who has the advantage and how much so. Um, so I'm going off of projected starting lineups here. At the one, Kyan Evans versus Caleb Foster.
This video is brought to you by NBA2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh.
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
Please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's, that's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video. This is the one I feel the least confident in. I don't think there's a sizable advantage either way, is what I would say.
I am good to say that one's a push.
Okay.
At the two, Seth Trimble or Isaiah Evans.
Man. You know, this is talking me into Carolina because I'm not like immediately picking the Duke guy. Um, I God, that's tough.
That's exactly how I felt looking at it. Like Seth had they're both good players with shortcomings. Seth, I think his shot selection and his vision and his jumper were all questionable last year. Isaiah Evans loved the upside, but I'm afraid that when he's not like the sixth option who's allowed to just come in and be a gunner, that there's going to be some cracks that come to light in his game instead of this breakout that Duke fans hope.
Are you going to talk me into Trimble being the right answer?
I think it's closer to a push with maybe a slight advantage to Isaiah Evans.
Let's go push. I am like as high as you can be on Isaiah Evans, I think. I just feel like he played 13 minutes a game and was the most efficient shooter in the country. If Con Knipple didn't exist, we're looking at him completely differently here. Um, but at the same time, Trimble's been like the third to fourth guard and been productive. So
Hmm.
if you imagine him being a first option guard, it totally changes. I'm fine calling it a push, but yeah, I don't know how to interpret that one. I think I'd probably take Trimble.
Look at that. I need Carolina fans to hear that because there are Carolina fans who just think sleepers is all negative UNC. When I hear so many UNC fans who just don't believe in Seth Trimble for whatever reason, I think he's a hooper. Anyway, at the three, Luka Bogovac versus Dame Sar.
This is where it starts to get ugly because I think Trimble's the best player on Carolina, and I think
Wow.
Carolina fans view Trimble as awful. So that's a hard thing to square. I would take Dame Sar pretty quickly over Boga.
I'm taking Boga, but I acknowledge that's where I acknowledge the bias. At the 4, we have Caleb Wilson versus Cameron Boozer. I think we're both in alignment. We'll give the nod to Boozer there.
The easiest one thus far. Because
Yeah.
I think you and I being split on Sarboga means we probably could have called it a push and been fine. Like their reasonable minds could differ on Sar versus Boga.
hmm But I think, yeah, Cam, I think, has a clear advantage there. At the 5, Henry Vasar versus Pat Ngongba.
I guess we'll do Vesar, right?
I would go with Vasar. I think Gongba has a ton of upside though, to where it wouldn't surprise me if it's like closer to even than I think Carolina fans want to admit right now. But I'm a big believer of what I've seen from Vasar. Now, where it gets like where you see why Duke is a lock to be a top 5 team comes when you go to the bench. Because here we start comparing Jonathan Powell and Jaron Stevenson and like Derek Dixon that to Caden Boozer, Nick Hamania, Darren Harris, and Malik Brown. Um, I think the only thing you could point to Carolina is like what Darren Harris is supposed to be. Jonathan Powell already kind of did last year, but I just think that that quartet coming off the bench, I'm a huge believer in Nick Hamania. I think Caden Boozer should eventually be able to beat out Caleb Foster for the starting spot at the 1. And I've liked Darren Harris since his like Peach Jam days as well. Like I think Duke's bench is really freaking good, and Carolina's is more so like Powell should translate as a shooter. Jaron Stevenson is still like the upside guy who's been on good teams, but you want to see him put it together. And after that, it's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, like as respectfully as we can here, there's not a humongous difference between Nick Kamania and Caleb Wilson.
That part I push back a little bit on. I think Wilson's athleticism and the defense will give him a higher floor. Like, as much as I love Hamania, I think some of the athleticism concerns could limit him. But I think Hamania's offensive bag is like crazy. He's definitely more advanced on offense than
I mean,
Wilson
they're
is.
they're totally different players stylistically, but we're talking a
Yeah.
six spot recruiting ranking between North Carolina's most talented player and Duke's seventh guy.
It's a good point. Fair point. But
But I mean, as you went through the starting lineup. I see what we're after here. So what's our scoreboard at here?
so let's see. We both agreed push for the 1 and the push at the 1, push at the 2, split for Boga versus Sar, advantage to Duke for Cam Boozer over Wilson, advantage to UNC for Vasar, advantage to Duke for the bench.
So really, we're saying bench is the only difference.
Yeah.
No, because as much as I love the positional game, Cam Boozer is 150 spots higher on national player rankings list than the best North Carolina player.
I would take those numbers that there's not that big of a gap between Cam Boozer and the best UNC player, but we'll see.
We shall see. I'm glad North Carolina fans feel really good about their $14 million roster, though. I like it.